Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my favorite books of 2018 part 1. I read quite a few books in 2018. I read over 100 books and it was hard for me to narrow down my favorites. So I decided to do two videos, one for like thrillers and mysteries and things like that, and then one for like women's fiction and historical fiction. Just I want to separate them because it would be so many if I tried to do it in one video. I think I have like 13 or 14 books just in the thriller category, thriller and mystery, to talk about. So I'm just going to hop right into it. It's in no particular order. I don't have like one favorite that stands out, maybe one, but it's just in no particular order. I'm kind of keeping it by author. So I'll get right into it. I'll link them all down below, as well as my Goodreads. And then when I put up part 2, I will link that one down below as well. So let's just hop right into it. So one of my favorites this year, so all of these are going to be between 4.5, 5 stars. I don't think any are 4 stars. And this is The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. And this was so good. It was about a woman who basically weaves her way into the life of a really wealthy older man and his wife. She befriends the wife and she wants to steal the husband. So you basically see her befriending the wife and weaving her way into their life and just being basically crazy. And it is like a crazy ride. There's big twists in it and it's not what it seems like. And I know this one gets mixed reviews, but I loved it. I picked it up at a library book sale, so that was kind of nice. So I got it for only like $1 and definitely worth it. And I highly recommend if you haven't read it already. And then one of my other favorites, and I think it was up for like the Goodreads awards, and it's definitely worth it. It's a rather short book, but it has so much jam-packed into it. And it is Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. This one is through the perspective of a self-proclaimed sociopath. Forget her name, but it's this girl who her best friend dies and she blames someone for her best friend's death. And she never lets people get close to her because she doesn't really feel empathy for others, but she had one best friend and she's dead. So she moves to a whole new town, makes a whole new identity, and weaves her way into the life of this man. And then she wants to like ruin his life. And this one was so twisted. I don't want to say too much because it's pretty short, but it was amazing and I really want to read more by this author, so I hope she publishes more books because this one was phenomenal. And if you like seeing into the mind of someone who's just not all mentally there, this is a good one. And then this one was my last read of 2018 and I absolutely loved it. It's called The Lies We Told by Camilla Way. I think it just came out only a few months ago. And this one was crazy as well. It is about a girl named Clara who one day wakes up and her boyfriend, I think his name is Luke, he didn't come home the night before, which is very unlike him. So she reaches out to his best friend to try and track him down and neither of them can. So they go to the cops and basically she learns all these things about Luke that she didn't know about and things about his past. And concurrently you also see a storyline from like 30 years ago about this mom who's raising a child who is a sociopath or a psychopath, one of the two, and just how it's progressively getting worse over the years. And so you see these two stories and how they intersect, and this was crazy. Loved it. Maybe not the best writing in the world, but it's just such a fun ride. So I highly recommend it. And I'm not really sure if she's written anything else, but I'm really curious to read more by Camilla Way. And then this one I read a few months ago. It's called The Date by Louise Jensen. I don't see a lot of people talking about her. I've read 2 of her books and this one was phenomenal. It's a shorter book, but really, really good. It's about a woman, I forget what her name is, Allie, and she goes on a date with a man. She never goes on dates, but she meets him on a dating app. So it's a blind date. She meets him at a bar and then she wakes up the next morning bruised and injured. She has no recollection of the night before. She's covered in blood. She knows something bad happened, but she doesn't know what. And then she starts feeling like someone's watching her. People are sending her notes and things in the mail and basically stalking her. And she's just wondering what happened and she's feeling threatened. And this one is super twisty, really good. I highly recommend and I love this cover. I read another book by her and this one is definitely her best that I've read. And then I have 2 from one author and I really like this author. I have 2 of her 3, I read 2 of her 3 publications, and I know she has another coming out this year, and I'm so excited whenever that does come out. My favorite of the 2 is probably The Sisters by Claire Douglas. So this is about a woman who, her twin sister had died, and you know the circumstances are a little off, and she's just mentally not okay. And she meets a woman named Beatrice, I think, and this woman looks almost just like her twin sister. So she befriends her, and she goes back to her house and learns that Beatrice has a twin brother. So she has this connection to that girl and an instant friendship, and all of a sudden Beatrice asks her to move in with them, be their new roommate. And when she moves in, she forms a romance with Beatrice's twin, and Beatrice and her have this like tumultuous friendship, and just weird things keep happening, and you're wondering what is going on, and it is twisted. You think you have it figured out, and then the very last page just bam hits you with another twist, and it was really good. And I love her writing, and I think she does a really good job with writing like psychological type of thrillers. And then another one I read all the way back in September called Local Girl Missing, and it's about a woman who, her best friend went missing like years before. She like got missing off of a pier or something. So she moved away, and now it's been years and years, and she gets a call from her best friend's brother saying some remains have been found. Can you please come back to the town to help identify them, see if you can remember anything? So she goes back, and it's just really awkward for her, but she has this little romance with the brother slightly, and just weird things start happening to her. She thinks someone's watching her. She thinks she's seeing a ghost of her best friend, and this one is twisted, and I loved it. I really do like Claire Douglas. She writes really well. And then this one I think came out this year. It's by Shari LaPena, but called An Unwanted Guest. I read A Couple Next Door, or The Couple Next Door, a couple of months ago, and I liked it as well, but I like this one more. This is kind of an old-fashioned mystery. So it is about, forget how many people at a hotel, but all these people go to this hotel, and basically there's a snowstorm, so they can't leave the hotel, and that night someone dies, falls down the staircase, and it's determined that it is not an accident. And then more people start dying, and you know that one of the people who are in that hotel is killing everyone, and you just don't know who. And so they're trying to stay awake, stay safe, and they don't know who they can trust. And this was a great book. I love the whodunit. I like how it's just like a small setting and a small time frame, and you're just trying to put the pieces together like Clue and figure out who's going on this killing spree. So I love this one, and I like this. I think it's a UK edition. And then another one I really like is by Chevy Stevens called Never Let You Go. It's my first Chevy Stevens. I have 3 other books by her, but this is the only one I have read, but I assume that I'm going to love them all because I like her writing a lot. This is about a woman who escaped an abusive marriage, her and her child, and now it's been 11 years, and she's restarted her life, and all of a sudden her ex-husband is released from prison, and she's not feeling safe anymore, and she's starting to get, they think, feeling like someone's stalking her. It's kind of like a domestic thriller, and I really like it. If you can tell like a theme, I really like domestic thrillers and things where someone feels like they're being stalked or murder type of books. So this one I really liked. I want to read, like I said, more by her because I've heard nothing but great things. I think she's a Canadian author. Pretty positive. Yes, she's from Vancouver, so I like that she's from Canada. And then this one as well was on, the next 2 are on the best books of the year. So all these books aren't published this year, but some of them have been. This is The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. It's my first book by them, and I absolutely loved it, and I'm so excited for the next one coming in a few days. And this one is about a woman who is getting married to a man, and then you're seeing her perspective as well as the perspective of the man's ex-wife, and you think that the ex-wife is stalking the new fiance. And this one was a crazy story, lots of twists, and I absolutely loved it. And the twist just like got me in the gut. I did not expect them, and I really liked their writing together. I thought it was seamless. I couldn't tell who was writing what, and I really liked that about it. I don't want to say too much if you haven't like heard much about it, but I'm sure you have. It was up for one of like the best books of the year from Goodreads. And then The Woman in the Window is also on that same list. I don't know which one won, but this is on the list as well. It's called Woman in the Window by AJ Fenn. This is about a woman who is an agoraphobic, and she will not leave her house because there was an event that happened You know that her husband and daughter live in a separate house, and she spies on her neighbors with a camera, and one day she sees something she shouldn't have. And then after that, people are telling her it didn't happen, and she's starting to question her sanity. So this one is crazy. I loved it. I thought the twists were great. I just love a good twist. I loved that she was just like staring at people through a camera and stalking others, and you're questioning her like mental stability. So this one was amazing. And then the last one I have to talk about is so overly talked about, so I'm not going to say too much. It's Pretty Girls by Karin Slaughter. I don't know when this came out, maybe last year. This is amazing. It is about a woman whose husband dies suddenly, and after he dies, she starts to uncover things about his past that are really deep and dark, and she starts getting herself into just problematic things. And you know that in her past, like, one of her sisters passed away or went missing, and the two storylines collide, and this is crazy and gritty. It was my first Karin Slaughter, and ever since I have been just reading her books like a mad woman because her writing is so good. If you can handle some gore, if you can handle really messed up stuff, this is for you. I love Karin Slaughter, but that is all I'm going to say about that because I'm sure you guys have heard plenty about her books. So those are all of my part 1 books, my favorite of 2018. Like I said, I read so many this year that it's so hard to narrow down like my absolute favorites. I'm not sure which one is my absolute favorite of this list for thrillers, but all of them you can't go wrong, and some of them you can find on Book Outlet, so you can find them for really good deals. Like I said, I'll link them all down below. I would love to hear what you guys have been reading and what your favorite books are, and if you have made some top 2018 videos. I will see you guys all in part 2, and have a good one. Bye.